Hello everybody, this is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. I want to give another mini lecture for the students of the 4th year of the Home Bible College, and today's lecture number 4, and it's a very simple thing. The Christian minister finds that in the New Testament there are a number of offices, but there are mainly two. There is the Christian deacon, which just means servant, and there is the Christian elder, which just means someone that's older. It means someone presumably that's wiser and more experienced. Of course, you can be older without being wiser, but in this particular case it means somebody that is older and wiser. Both of these ministries are complementary to one another. Now let's look at the deacons first of all. We will go into this in much more detail on further lectures, but the deacons began in the Acts of the Apostles to cater for the Hebrew poor widows of Jerusalem, and they had the responsibility to distribute the food for the hungry widows fairly. You see, some of the widows that were Hebrew speaking were missing out on the distribution of the food, and so and some of the it wasn't just the Hebrew, it was the Grecian widows were missing out on some of the food, and so therefore it was 7 men were chosen to make sure that the distribution was fair amongst the Hebrew and the Greek speaking widows. There we are. Now the second office is that of elder. These men are leaders in the churches. They're men of holy lives, and they have gifts of teaching and preaching the gospel. So this includes both the Bible teacher and the pastor, and it also includes evangelists. Both of them are elders. They also have an important responsibility to correct and rebuke false teaching in the churches. Now I'm going to read to you a number of scriptures. I'm going to do this today for a very specific reason. It's a very important point that the word elders is always in the plural in the New Testament. Whenever a church is mentioned, it's always the elders as a plural group. The idea of having one person as the minister or the pastor is not really found in the New Testament. Of course, a very small church might find themselves with only one pastor or only one minister, but that of course isn't what is the biblical norm and the biblical model. So in Acts chapter 11 verse 29 it says, "Then the disciples, every man according to his ability, determined to send relief unto the brethren which dwelt at Judea, which they did, and they sent it to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Saul." So there we are, there's elders. Now let's take a look at chapter 14 verse 23. "And when they had ordained them elders in every church, they prayed and fasted, and they commended them to the Lord on whom they believed." So here again, it's elders in every church. Some people think that you have an elder in charge of lots of churches. No, that's not at all a possible thing. In Acts chapter 15 verse 2 it says, "When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation among them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and the elders about this question." Okay. And then in verse 4 it says, "And when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and of the apostles and elders." Okay. In verse 6, "The apostles and elders came together to consider this matter." And in verse 22, "Then pleased the apostles and the elders with the whole church to send men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas." In verse 23 it says, "They wrote unto them after this manner, the apostles and elders and brethren send greeting unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch, Syria and Cilicia." Now the thing is, the word apostles, we know that there were 12 apostles. The word apostles is always used in the plural. There was never one apostle, never. The word elders is always used in the plural as well. There's never just one elder. Of course, you can refer to some person as one elder, but that's because they're an elder in themselves, but they are actually always part of a collective group. In Acts chapter 16 verse 4, "And they went through the cities, and they delivered unto them the decrees for to keep, which were ordained of the apostles and elders which were at Jerusalem." chapter 20 verse 17, from Miletus he sent to Ephesus, and he called the elders of the church. So in the church at Ephesus there was more than one elder. The next one is Acts chapter 21 verse 18, and the day following Paul went up with us unto James, and all the elders were present. Okay, and verse 17 it says, let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honour. Okay, the elders that rule well. And in Titus chapter 1 verse 5, for this cause I left thee in Crete, that thou shouldst set in order the things that are wanting, and ordain elders in every city as I appointed thee. Now, some people have suggested, well, we had elders in charge of a whole city full of little churches. No, it's not. That's not at all. What he's saying is, it's presumed in that particular verse that in every city there would be one church, even though they might not all be able to meet in one building, but there was still one church, and over that church there would be a plurality of elders. And then 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 1, the elders which are among you I exhort, whom am also an elder. So Peter says, look, I'm an elder, and I'm exhorting those of you that are elders. So there we have them. We have elders all the time. We never have a single elder in a church. We have elders, and we also don't have a single deacon. We have deacons. What are the spiritual qualifications for these two different groups? Well, the spiritual qualifications are identical. That's the important thing. There's not one type of Christian for one and one type of Christian for another. They're both Christians the same. However, the practical qualifications specific to the work to be carried out, they're different. So elders, for example, are required to be able to teach the scriptures. Particularly, they have an aptitude for teaching and preaching. The pastor or the evangelist are both preachers or teachers of the scriptures, and so therefore both the pastor and the evangelist, even though their roles are different, they nevertheless are together elders. Well, there we are. There's my thoughts on this particular point, and we look forward to catching up with you next time. So God bless you all, and bye for now.